Aliens vs. Predator Requiem is a 2007 American film directed by brothers Colin and Greg Strause, otherwise known as the Brothers Strause, and stars Stephen Pasquale, Reiko Aylesworth, Johnny Lewis, and John Ortiz. Taking place pretty much directly after the first AVP film, a predator is sent to kill the predator xenomorph hybrid known to the fans as the Predalien, as it ravages through a small Colorado town. Now, this was my first watch of this movie since seeing it in the theater like 18 years ago, and I probably wouldn't have done it. I probably would not have watched it again, but I'm trying to review, the Alien franchise, all of it, and I wanted to include the AVP movies. What was funny was that I remembered like two parts from the last time I saw it. Not a good sign, you know what I mean? But I had more positive things to say about the first AVP than I thought I would after, my last watch. And surprisingly, I actually had the same experience here. And although I think the first AVP film is a better made film, I actually enjoy this one way more. I mean, both AVP movies are the exact example of junk food cinema, I think you know what I mean. It looks like food, it tastes like food, but we all know it isn't food, not real food. And any amount of criticism you want to throw at me, for this review is fine. But one thing that I think that they did right was making an R-rated film instead of PG-13 like the last one. Making anything in the Alien or Predator franchise PG-13 it's inexcusable. And this is a leaner and much more meaner film with quite a bit of gore and practical effects. I really do think that the brothers Strause wanted to make a great film. But hey, this was their first feature length that they ever did, and they had a much smaller budget than Paul W.S. Anderson did. The plot is so much more simple here compared to, the lore and world building and stuff that the first one tried to do. This is basically just the predators and xenomorphs at war with each other and humanity caught right in the middle. It begins with a predator ship carrying facehuggers crash landing in Colorado, allowing the facehuggers to escape and wreak havoc here on Earth, which is an idea, honestly, that I really do like. I've had enough space stuff, man. If we're gonna make anything, any more alien films, we need to do something different. I think something new, and I'm cool with stripped down ideas like this. Okay, now, before you start thinking that I like this movie way more than I actually do, I better start getting into some negatives. Starting with the cast. I don't think the acting is as bad as a lot of people have said over the years, but it is very much on the bland side. There are some veteran working actors here, but no big star power or anything like that. All the teen actors and stuff do give off like a kind of like a Lifetime channel vibe, and it can be frustrating at times. The real stars here are the predators and the xenomorphs, but we needed likable human characters to level things out. And if you're gonna, do just one right thing in either of those franchises, you have to get the monsters right, and they do look good here, I think. Yeah, I didn't put them under a microscope and scrutinize or anything like that, but from what I saw, I thought they looked good. It might sound controversial, but I didn't find any issues with the looks of them. Obviously, now I need to address the lighting issues, which, for many people was pretty much the absolute death of this film. And look, I get it. I totally get it. But I think that it's important to understand why the film looks the way that it does. Ultimately, I really do think that it boils down to the fact that the directors had not worked on a project of this magnitude and on a smaller budget than, the previous film, like I said. They didn't necessarily want a dark film, or maybe not as dark as it turned out. But, they felt that we were all used to seeing xenomorphs in space, on a dark spaceship, and in broad daylight. They just thought that it wouldn't look good. And I totally get it. I totally understand their mindset there. So they wanted, very low light, lots of shadows and rain and stuff like that, atmosphere. And I totally get the complaints, but I also think that a lot of the complaints I think were a little overblown. I mean, if you watch it with the lights out, in a totally dark room, I don't think it's that bad. I also think that the gore and the practical effects make up for a lot of it. And you get a decent body count here. And I like how there are no rules and nobody is safe. There's a lot of human characters here, and this movie will kill any of them, like kids included. And this film also brings us a new character, something we had never seen before, called the Pred Alien, like I mentioned earlier. Clever name, I know, but what else do you call it? My guess is that someone just kind of really wanted to make the creature, because why not? I guess things start to get weird after the first 3 Alien movies, anyways. So it makes sense, After Alien 3, things get really weird, and it looks pretty cool. And I do like it, even if I don't think we really needed it. It does add a little spice to the stew, I guess you could call it. And it does appear, the Pred Alien does appear in the comic series back in like 1995, so I like the tie-in. I've given AVP Requiem a 5 out of 10. The plot is very minimalist, but at least it's not full of plot holes, and, I can mostly enjoy this for the violence. The ending is lazy, but I do feel like this is just slightly overhated. That said, it didn't do much at all to add to any lore. It could have been great, with a few tweaks, but we're left with a throwaway story. I don't know. Do you guys like it? Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.